Picture this, a presidency that ignited fierce debates, polarised the nation, and left an unforgettable mark on American history. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Donald J. Trump's time in the Oval Office was nothing short of extraordinary. Today, we look into the compelling question that continues to captivate minds across the globe. Was Donald Trump good for America? Welcome to the Institutional Economics YouTube channel, where we take a deep dive into the most tumultuous events in modern history. This week, we'll be embarking on a journey through Trump's presidency, peeling back the layers to uncover the true impact on the USA's past, present, and most importantly, future. Get ready for an eye-opening exploration as we navigate through the triumphs and controversies, the policies and rhetoric, and the successes and failures, all in our quest to find the answer to this burning question. Brace yourself for a riveting ride filled with surprises, revelations, and a kaleidoscope of perspectives as we unravel the enigma that is Donald Trump's legacy. Let's start with the economy. Throughout Donald Trump's time as the 45th President of the United States, his economic policies became a focal point of both praise and criticism. During his presidency, Trump implemented several economic policies to stimulate growth and create a favorable environment for businesses. One notable policy was the Tax Cuts and Job Act of 2017, which reduced corporate tax rates and provided tax cuts for individuals. Proponents argue that these measures incentivized investment and contributed to economic expansion. Supporters also point to positive indicators such as GDP growth, job creation, and stock market performance during Trump's tenure. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy experienced steady growth and historically low unemployment rates, which they attribute, at least in part, to Trump's policies. However, critics raise concerns about the long-term effects and distributional impact of Trump's economic agenda. They argue that the benefits of tax reforms favored wealthy individuals and large corporations, increasing the already large gap between rich and poor in America. They also question the sustainability of the economic growth achieved during Trump's presidency, pointing to factors such as global economic conditions and underlying structural challenges, and expressing concerns about the potential long-term impact on the national debt and the sustainability of economic growth achieved during Trump's presidency. It's worth noting that Trump's economic policies often aligned with a broader nationalist and protectionist approach. This approach prioritized American interests, focusing on trade negotiations and tariffs. While some supporters argue that this approach protected domestic industries and jobs, critics express concerns about potential negative consequences, such as trade disputes and disruptions in international relations, something we'll look a little closer at later in this video. So, Donald Trump's economic legacy remains a subject of varying interpretations. While his policies may have contributed to specific positive economic indicators, there are contrasting views on their long-term effectiveness, who they impact, and broader implications, such as the impact of his protectionist approach on foreign relations and trade. Donald Trump's approach to international diplomacy and foreign policy was a defining aspect of his presidency. As president, he pursued a distinctive path that departed from traditional norms. One of the key elements of Trump's foreign relations policy was renegotiating trade deals. He sought to prioritize American interests by revisiting agreements such as NAFTA, which led to the creation of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. This move was aimed at protecting American jobs and industries. A notable event in Trump's foreign relations was the historic North Korea summit. Trump met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to stop his country's progress towards nuclear weapons and establish a new era of diplomacy. While the summit represented a significant step towards easing tensions, critics argued that the outcome fell short of achieving real progress. And what would a video on Trump be without mentioning China? Donald Trump's presidency left a lasting legacy on US-China relations. Trump took a confrontational approach towards China's economic practices by imposing new tariffs on Chinese goods, aiming to address issues such as intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and trade imbalances. While this approach was applauded by some who believed it was necessary to protect American industries, others criticized it for its potential negative impact on global trade and economic growth. Trump's administration took a tougher stance on China's strategic expansion and human rights issues. The recognition of China as a strategic competitor marked a shift in US policy. This led to increased scrutiny of Chinese investments, restrictions on technology exports, and confrontations in areas like cybersecurity and territorial disputes. Trump's administration expressed concerns about China's human rights record, particularly regarding issues such as Xinjiang and Hong Kong. However, it is important to note that Trump's approach to China was not entirely confrontational. He engaged with China on certain fronts, such as negotiations to address North Korea's nuclear program. Despite the tensions, the administration reached a Phase 1 trade deal with China, providing some relief to the economic relationship between the two countries. Trump's foreign policy with the rest of the world was characterized by his America First doctrine. This approach emphasized prioritizing American interests over global alliances and international cooperation. Critics argue that this stance strained relationships with traditional allies and weakened the perception of the United States on the global stage. However, supporters highlight his efforts to address long-standing trade imbalances and demand greater burden sharing from NATO allies. Post-presidency, he's taken an outspoken position on geopolitical issues, recently exclaiming he could settle the Ukraine war within 24 hours. Some argue that his administration's unconventional approach led to strained relationships with key allies, and his withdrawal from international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and the Iran nuclear deal was met with significant backlash. However, supporters credit Trump with challenging the status quo, pushing for fairer trade practices and demanding greater accountability from international partners. First, let's talk about immigration. The travel ban, officially known as Executive Order 13769, aimed to restrict travel to the United States for citizens of 7 predominantly Muslim-majority countries: Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Critics argued that the ban unfairly targeted individuals based on their religion and nationality, labeling it a Muslim ban. They contended that it violated principles of religious freedom and equality and fueled discrimination against Muslims. The policy faced legal challenges and underwent several revisions before being upheld by the Supreme Court in 2018. Another controversial policy was the zero-tolerance policy, which separated families at the US-Mexico border. Under this policy, adults crossing the border illegally were subject to criminal prosecution, leading to the separation of children from their parents or guardians. These policies drew significant criticism from human rights organizations, immigration advocates, and many Americans who believed they violated principles of justice, compassion, and human rights. The controversy surrounding these policies amplified discussions on immigration reform, the treatment of asylum seekers, and the need for comprehensive and compassionate immigration policies. However, President Trump's impact on social and cultural issues was not exclusively negative. One notable achievement in this regard was the signing of the First Step Act, a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill. The First Step Act, signed into law in December 2018, aimed to address long-standing issues within the criminal justice system, with a particular focus on reducing mass incarceration and addressing disparities that disproportionately affected minority communities. The act garnered support from both Democrats and Republicans, reflecting a growing consensus on the need for reform. LGBTQ+ rights were another social issue where Trump's presidency had both positive and negative ramifications. While his administration took steps to roll back certain protections for transgender individuals, it's worth acknowledging that Trump's support for states' rights allowed for progress in LGBTQ+ rights at the state level. The Supreme Court's ruling on marriage equality during his presidency was a significant milestone for the LGBTQ+ community. So, what is Trump's lasting legacy on the USA's political climate? Throughout his presidency, Donald Trump's leadership style had a significant impact on the political climate in America. One of the most prominent aspects was the polarization and divisiveness observed during his presidency. Trump's unfiltered and unconventional communication style, often through Twitter, provoked strong reactions and deepened existing divisions within the country. Supporters praised Trump's directness and perceived authenticity. At the same time, critics argued that his rhetoric often fueled hostility and undermined civility in political discourse. The intense partisan divide became more pronounced, with political debates becoming increasingly contentious and polarized. Public opinion polls and surveys conducted during Trump's presidency reflected the diverse viewpoints and reactions to his leadership. These polls revealed a nation sharply divided along party lines. with the Republicans generally approving of his performance, while Democrats expressed deep concerns and disapproval. Independents often fell somewhere in between, with varying degrees of support or skepticism. One significant implication of Trump's presidency was the emergence of his dedicated base of supporters. Trump enjoyed unwavering loyalty from a substantial portion of the electorate, which had a significant influence on his political strategy and policy decisions. The Trump effect refers to the phenomenon where his style of populism and nationalist rhetoric resonated with a specific segment of the population, mobilizing them as a potent political force. The lasting impact of Trump's base and the Trump effect on future politics remains a subject of debate and speculation. Some argue that his presidency represented a unique moment in American politics, while others believe it signaled a broader shift in political dynamics and the Republican Party's trajectory. Looking ahead, the political climate in America continues to be shaped by the legacy of Trump's presidency. The divisions and polarization witnessed during his time in office have left a lasting imprint on the national discourse. As the country moves forward, it becomes crucial to address the challenges posed by deep political divisions and strive for a more inclusive and constructive political climate that promotes dialogue, understanding, and collaboration across ideological lines. Donald Trump's presidency had a profound impact on various aspects of American society, leaving a legacy that continues to shape the nation's future. Economically, Trump's policies, such as tax cuts and deregulation, created a favorable business environment and stimulated growth. The America First approach to trade also reshaped the US's relationship with China and the rest of the world, which the current Democratic administration has quietly continued. On social and cultural issues, Trump's administration implemented controversial immigration policies. Still, it is important to note that many of his opposed policies have remained relatively unchanged by the current president. What is clear, however, is that Trump's leadership style significantly impacted the political climate, leading to heightened polarization and divisiveness in both political parties. Public opinion polls reflected a nation deeply divided along party lines, with a dedicated base of supporters mobilized by his populist and nationalist rhetoric. The implications of this political divide and the Trump effect on future politics remain subjects of ongoing debate. As America moves forward, it becomes crucial to address the challenges posed by deep political divisions and to introduce policies that help regular working people. The legacy of Trump's presidency serves as a reminder of the importance of fostering dialogue, understanding, and collaboration across ideological lines to build a stronger and more united nation. So, was Donald Trump good for America? What do you think? Leave your opinion in the comments section.